What's going on, everyone? So Los Angeles Lakers need a center, and they have been linked to Walker Kessler since the offseason, and he is at the top of their list. He's the guy that I want the most. Please go get Walker Kessler, right? He's cheap. He is going to need to be paid relatively soon, but he's cheap. And he's the center for now and the future, right? He's a guy that right now could slot in alongside Anthony Davis or play in a backup role, one of the better shot blockers in the league. So even when Anthony Davis gets a night off or something like that, you still maintain some rim protection. Anthony Davis goes to the bench, right? Still maintain some rim protection. He's also a guy that, again, you would have not only now, but the next 10 plus years as your center, as a foundation piece. And if Utah's willing to unload him, if I'm the Lakers, I'm trying to go get him. But the asking price right now for Walker Kessler is a bit ridiculous, right? They want multiple firsts. I mean, there were reports that the Knicks offered 2 firsts and they rejected it. Now, not all firsts are created equal, but still, like, that's a lot for Walker Kessler, who, yes, he is a guy that can have an impact now, and you see him some games, you're just like, dude, this guy might be the best center in the league. And then other games, you're like, yeah, he's definitely a project, right? It's the inconsistencies. But Lakers just need a big body that, even if he's giving you 8 and 8 off the bench, and then on occasion giving you like a 20-10 game, like, that's fine. Lakers just need that size to slot alongside Anthony Davis, as well as in a backup role, but more than anything, that rim protection would go a long way. So he makes perfect sense. But according to Sam Amick and John Hollinger, the Lakers package of D'Angelo Russell plus several draft picks is not enticing to the Utah Jazz. So here's the thing about that, though. I don't think that that's an actual offer that the Lakers presented to Utah, because it doesn't make sense, right? Like, one guy is making, $3.5 million. Another guy, or I think it's just $3 million. It's under. It's like $2.9 million. But one guy's making $3 million. Another guy's making $18.5 million. Right now, if you were doing a trade and unloading multiple pieces, and then it was like, oh, we're gonna unload D'Lo and clear $15 million, so that we can bring in a couple guys. Yeah, that would make sense. But to do a 1-for-1 swap doesn't make sense for Utah. And it doesn't make sense for the Lakers. And clearing off that $15 million in cap space makes no sense for the Lakers, because you'd still have 15 men on your roster. Yeah, you could waive some guys, but why? Why not just include those expiring guys in a trade? Now, if they're including D'Lo to go get a Colin Sexton, which is something I've talked about, give you some athleticism. He's also a guy that's been willing to come off the bench for Utah. Would he do the same thing for the Lakers? Right? Like, that makes more sense. Like, if the Lakers were taking Jalen Hood-Schifino, who they just declined his player option, right? So now he's a free agent. So if you were taking Jalen Hood-Schifino and D'Angelo Russell with like a pick, remove the protections for them, and then give up like a swap or something for like a Sexton and a Walker Kessler, okay, now that makes sense to me. Now I can see a path to a potential trade. But yeah, like, when I saw the report and it was like, well, D'Lo and picks for Walker Kessler isn't enticing for Utah. And I was like, well, duh, right? Like, they already have plenty of guards. They don't need another guard. And yes, they have a plethora of centers too, and they're not a good basketball team. They're in their best interest tank, but it's like, why would they want to take on $15 million in salary? And especially when that $15 million doesn't do anything for the Lakers. Like, yes, now technically you could waive Cam Reddish and waive Jackson Hayes, but why not just like include them in a deal, right? Like, why not, again, go get a Colin Sexton, or why not go trade for a Zach LaVine or something like that, and then like unload those guys, especially if you could take $15 million off of him. And then now you can unload several guys in a deal over here. And then now you could bring in, a Quincy Olivari and like a Jordan Goodwin or whatever you need based on the guys that get sent out. That would make more sense. But to just like D'Lo for Kessler, yeah, if I'm Utah, I'm going like, you're crazy. That's silly, right? Like, especially when you could literally just swap Jalen Hood-Schifino for Walker Kessler. And one, you're getting a guy that is unproductive and providing you nothing for a guy that can immediately come in and add the bench. Lakers bench is awful. Like, Lakers bench is like, they're third to the bottom as far as bench production goes. They're only averaging 20 points a game. They're 30th, I think, in the league as far as bench production goes. They're terrible, right? So if you could turn a guy in a Jalen Hood-Schifino, which that might make sense for a team for the Utah Jazz, because he's a young point guard that they can kind of test. They can kind of do the Talen Horton-Tucker thing, where it's like, okay, he's a free agent next season, so we could just let him walk if it doesn't work, clear off some cap space. And on top of that, we got Lauri Markkanen now, who's going to be jumping into a max deal, and we might want to start retooling guys. That's why I think that the Utah Jazz would bite on a Colin Sexton deal, because Sexton has another year on his contract where D'Lo would be expiring. So the argument for me, if I was, Rob Pelinka, would be like, hey, Lauri Markkanen is about to get a max next year. You guys are the worst team in the league, right? Wouldn't it be nice to get off of Colin Sexton's, $20 million next year and get off of, Walker Kessler and the new contract that you're going to have to give him, right? To where now you can get D'Lo and Jalen Uchifino, both are expiring. So now you can clear cap space. You can clear $22 million off your cap sheets next season and start retooling things. And then you got guys like Jordan Clarkson and all these other guys. Right now, you might be one of the highest cap place teams where maybe you can go and lure a Jimmy Butler or, a James Harden or something like that to come play alongside a Lauri Markkanen and now put together like a real competent team. Right? Like that would be my argument. And we'll remove the protections on the pick that we owe you, right? So now it's an unprotected pick. We'll give you another unprotected first, right? Take your pick, whichever one you want. Give you another unprotected first. And then on top of that, we'll go and give you like a pick swap or something like that. And we'll take on Colin Sexton. Even though Colin Sexton, I think, would be a positive value for the Lakers, you kind of pass it off as like, hey, he's, we have to deal with them for another year. We have to now go look to try to trade him next season or something like that, right? Like, but really, if he's great, you just keep him, right? Because he gives you a lot of similar production that D'Lo gives you, but he gives you athleticism, rim pressure, gives you the things that D'Lo doesn't, right? And again, he's been willing to come off the bench and hasn't griped or cried or complained or anything like that. So you can have him, if you needed to, come off the bench and bolster your bench, right? So if you get a Colin Sexton, get a Walker Kessler, right? You could just add those two guys to the bench, and then when put a Max Christie or like a Dalton Connect. I know a lot of people want Dalton Connect, or just somebody in the starting unit, in my opinion, until Vando gets back. And then when Vando gets back, I think you move Vando into the starting unit, right? And then on offense, Vando is the 3, Rui's the 4, LeBron's the point. But on defense, Vando's the 2, Austin's the point, right? Like, because Vando on defense, he's going to be out there anyway because he's going to be guarding all the guards. He'll be guarding SGA and Kyrie or Luka or whoever, right? So now, I just think, one, you're bigger. You're already really good. They're one of the better rebounding teams in the league. You add in Jared Vanderbilt, you're only going to be better rebounding, but you kind of need to take your time and wing Jared Vanderbilt in. You don't want to just here's a giant workload, buddy, right? You want to give him the opportunity to really kind of work himself through and kind of get healthy. And then once he start showing those signs. So to me, put in a Max Christie maybe for just the defensive purposes, right? And then whatever he gives you offensively. I know a lot of people are really down on Max Christie, but just to inject some defense. He's better defensively than D'Lo, so at least you get some defensive injection. And the way D'Lo's played inconsistently offensively, you're not really changing much. You're just better defensively. And then do that until Vando gets back. And then when Vando gets back, boom, you can inject Vando, have Sexton off the bench, who go get you 16 to 20 a night off the bench, and then go with a Walker Kessler. Or you start Colin Sexton, which I'm not opposed to at all. Because again, he gives you everything D'Lo gives you just with other things such as rim pressure as well as the athleticism you're looking for. And when he's bought in, and he's invested defensively, he's actually a good defender. He's not elite or anything like that. And don't get me wrong, he's had seasons where he's worse than D'Lo defensively. But it's also a big difference when you're playing on a team like the Jazz, who are the worst team in the league, and you don't really have any other defensive help. It's another thing when you're on the Lakers, who are trying to contend for a championship, and you have a head coach, J.J. Redick, who he's going to be on his behind to play some defense, and you have Anthony Davis backing you up, and then maybe potentially a Jared Vanderbilt, right? And Austin Reeves has been good defensively. So now it's I don't have to be elite. I just got to be good, right? That's a big difference. So I do like the idea of Colin Sexton as well as Walker Kessler. Lakers can pull off some type of move, some type of deal there. I think that would be ideal. But yeah, reading through the article, what Sam Amick says and stuff, because the title of it and then like the introductory and everything make it sound like the Lakers offered that. But then like as you read, it sounds like it's just their thoughts on that type of trade, but it makes no sense. Why would the Lakers, I'm not saying the Lakers shouldn't trade D'Lo. I've said before, I would be shocked if D'Lo is on this roster post the trade deadline. But he's your highest tradable asset, right? At $18.5 million and expiring. He's going to be gold once you get around the trade deadline because you're going to have a lot of teams that want to get off of money, especially with the new CBA. So why would you give up your best salary asset for Walker Kessler, which, again, I want Walker Kessler. He's one of my favorite targets for trades, but you have Jalen Hood-Schifino who's expiring now, and you could just swap that. And even if the article was originally written before the Jalen Hood-Schifino thing, there's still other things, right? Like you could do, like, Maxwell Lewis and a Jackson Hayes or something, or a Cam Reddish or something, right? Like there's other ways to do it besides like D'Lo. Like it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up to me. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion and I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think like, yeah, that package makes zero sense? Like why would Utah do, like I understand, like if that really is something that the Lakers offered, if I'm Utah, I'm like, yeah, you're crazy, right? Like why am I taking on $15 million for just the fun of it, right? And it doesn't do anything for the Lakers. Yeah, you could waive Cam Reddish and Jackson Hayes and guys like that, but why not just include them in a deal? Like why? Like I could see Utah being willing to go, okay, we'll take Cam Reddish and Jalen Hood-Schifino, right? So that way you can clear off a salary spot for like a Quincy Olivari or something, right? I could see that. Because it's like, okay, we take $2 million on expiring, and we could kind of see what we think with Jalen Hood-Schifino. We could use another defensive wing and Cam Reddish. Like, I could see something like that to where it's like, okay, you match the salaries for Walker Kessler, and they're taking on another contract, so you can free up a roster spot to bring in like an Olivari or something, and then, maybe you throw them a second or something for doing you a favor. Sure, I get on board with that, but like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.